don't know whether you recognize where that's from. That's the song we're looking at today in my not so deep dive, but feels like this one is a little more deep. Looking at Hush. Hush has been a strangely, I don't know whether the word is popular, but it's a song that I've had a lot of conversations about. A lot of people have asked me about the song. And in the old MySpace account, do people remember MySpace? It was the most played tune on that for whatever reason. It's a bit of a dark song. It comes in the genre of lament. And you don't associate Christmas and lament in that same way, but I think it's an important part of the story of Christmas. And the story has to do with the kind of politics of the time. A king is threatened by the appearance of another king. So Herod is threatened by the birth of Jesus, and so decides to kill all children under the age of 2. So it's quite a dark story and something that's maybe resonant across time, because that's again based on a story that happened in the Old Testament with Moses. When Moses was born, also the Pharaoh asks all the babies to be killed, and then today we have children dying in the same place as well. So even though it's a dark story, it's a resonant one. It's something that's still part of our reality. And the kind of style of it is more the blues, I suppose. Melodically, definitely. Which following the minor pentatonic scale. The chords are maybe a bit more jazzy. And I would say maybe it refers to other kinds of these bluesy lullabies, especially Summertime. Summertime. And then depending on what chord you choose. And the living is easy. So there is a sense of the song referring to, other kinds of because Summertime isn't a happy tune in that way, right? There is actually a lot of darkness that's there. And I found that a lot of lullabies have this kind of darkness. If you go to some of the old folk tunes, there is a sense in which there is this concern of the difficulties that the child will face or the parent is facing at the time. How did I come upon this? I think I was wanting something serious about Christmas also to come out. But I wasn't searching for this particular story, but when I was driving to college to actually practice with the PU choir, the chorus just kind of came. Hush little baby, don't say a word. Herod's men are coming. And then while I was waiting outside the practice room, waiting for the room to be free, a lot of the rest of the song kind of formed in my head. And that doesn't happen that often. Normally I'm at the keyboard and things are coming out and so on. It is very rare for a song to just appear in the head like that. I also remember at the time standing outside the room and then calling Louise and saying, I've got this song, I've got this thing, and we were sharing it, and in some sense we were almost grieving at the time. And there wasn't anything that happened to us other than the fact that we were new parents, and the anxiety of being a new parent was there. Some of you have experienced that maybe, and that kind of the fragility of the life that's there, and that might be taken away from you as well. And then, the kind of the chords are fairly standard, but the sadness, the descending chord sequence, which I often use, but also following the conventions of maybe how some jazz songs move. And then adding the kind of richness to different chords in the one. And Swati sang this, and she rendered it brilliantly. The way she enunciates some of the words, she really brought a certain amount of feeling to what is actually, quite an involved song. The chorus, Hush Little Baby, is purely the lullaby. doesn't really refer to the text other than the fact to talk about Herod, that Herod's men are coming with death in their swords. Hush, little baby. Hush is a very nice word in that it's got a certain onomatopoeia. The sound is telling something about what the meaning of the word is. Shh, hush. And then the chorus is kind of talking about the darkness. Darkness covers us, grief all around. Then the verse goes more onto the actual text, where it talks of voices sounding in the town of Ramah, which is actually an Old Testament text, a text that the writer of the story is drawing on as a fulfillment. It's a very odd fulfillment of prophecy also. Voices sound in the town of Ramah, wail of lament, Rachel weeping for her children. She says no, 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 for consolation. For her babies are no more. That is coming from an older text that's been then brought into this story. So again, to kind of say that this is something that tragically keeps happening. So yeah, and then that was drawing on that notion, and the chords are all, even though it's slightly bright sounding chords, they're unstable chords. There's a sense that it's all falling down. Descent is continuing. Right? So and the structure is very simple. It starts with a chorus, goes to a verse, then chorus, and then there's an interlude, an instrumental interlude. And then verse 2 is slightly odd. I think I was struggling to work out what to say in verse 2, and I was trying to draw the contrast of the two kings. So the king is born, but death surrounds him. So the light has come in darkness. So the notion of this new king is supposed to bring light, but then look, it's all dark at the minute. And then are we pawns on this stage of horror? Yeah, I'm not sure whether the words really work there. I was trying something to do with the kings and the pawns, kind of a little bit of a chess thing maybe out there. But then there's also the point that this is all just so bizarre. And that's why there's this line, a joke to die for. I think I was trying to get something about this is kind of really dark, and so the only thing you can do is laugh. But I'm not sure that it works so well. But it's just that, I mean, that those are the words. And then we come back into hush, and the choir joins in. Shh, and then everyone sings the chorus at that point, and then we kind of end with this kind of a crescendo. Herod's men coming, Herod's men have come. So the line about Herod's men, initially it was Herod's men are coming, and then this next chorus or the chorus after that becomes Herod's men have come. And here there's both being sung. The guys are saying Herod's men are coming, the Herod's men have come. So there's kind of sense of have they come, have they not? It's just a sense of confusion really around how that. And there's this build where the ladies are saying, going, right, with the men singing, Herod's men are coming, Herod's men have come. And so that is kind of the crescendo moment. And then the chorus is sung, but in a different way, with a slightly different chord sequence there also. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. You don't say a word. You don't say a word. That point, I think, always catches me. I'm always surprised. I know the song, I know what it's about, but even now, I just kind of have this feeling in my throat around, you don't say a word. Because, that's the reality, right? That's what's happened. The baby is not going to say anything. And then there's this kind of really broken chord at the end. No more. With the choir singing this, which is not a really resolved, it's an unresolved kind of a chord there. Yeah. So it's quite an emotional piece there, with using a fairly traditional format. And it is something that seems to have impacted different people in different ways. So yeah, I'd like to know what you think or thought of the song when we did it back then. Thank you.